Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 9, Book 89, number 306. Narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet said, Allah never sends a prophet or gives the caliphate to a caliph, but that he, the Prophet or the caliph, has two groups of advisers, a group advising him to do good and exhorts him to do it, and the other group advising him to do evil and exhorts him to do it. But the protected person, against such evil advisers, is the one protected by Allah. Volume 9, Book 89, number 307. Narrated by Ubadah bin as-Samit. We gave the oath of allegiance to Allah's apostle that we would listen to and obey him both at the time when we were active and at the time when we were tired, and that we would not fight against the ruler or disobey him, and would stand firm for the truth or say the truth wherever we might be, and in the way of Allah we would not be afraid of the blame of the blamers. See Hadith number 178 and 320. Volume 9, Book 89, number 308. Narrated by Anas. The Prophet went out on a cold morning while the Muhajirin, emigrants, and the Ansar were digging the trench. The Prophet then said, O Allah, the real goodness is the goodness of the hereafter, so please forgive the Ansar and the Muhajirin. They replied, We are those who have given the pledge of allegiance to Muhammad for to observe jihad as long as we remain alive. Volume 9, Book 89, number 309. Narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. Whenever we gave the pledge of allegiance to Allah's apostle for to listen to and obey, he used to say to us, for as much as you can. Volume 9, Book 89, number 310. Narrated by Abdullah bin Dinar. I witnessed Ibn Umar when the people gathered around Abdul Malik. Ibn Umar wrote, I gave the pledge of allegiance that I will listen to and obey Allah's slave, Abdul Malik, chief of the believers, according to Allah's laws and the traditions of his apostle as much as I can, and my sons too, give the same pledge. Volume 9, Book 89, number 311. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. I gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet that I would listen and obey, and he told me to add, as much as I can, and will give good advice to every Muslim. Volume 9, Book 89, number 312. Narrated by Abdullah bin Dinar. When the people took the oath of allegiance to Abdul Malik, Abdullah bin Umar wrote to him, To Allah's slave, Abdul Malik, chief of the believers, I give the pledge of allegiance that I will listen to and obey Allah's slave, Abdul Malik, chief of the believers, according to Allah's laws and the traditions of his apostle in whatever is within my ability, and my sons too, give the same pledge. Volume 9, Book 89, number 313. Narrated by Yazid. I said to Salama, For what did you give the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet on the day of Hudaybiyah? He replied, For death. Volume 9, Book 89, number 314. Narrated by Al-Miswar bin Makrama. The group of people whom Umar had selected as candidates for the caliphate gathered and consulted each other. Abdur Rahman said to them, I am not going to compete with you in this matter, but if you wish, I would select for you a caliph from among you." So all of them agreed to let Abdur-Rahman decide the case. So when the candidates placed the case in the hands of Abdur-Rahman, the people went towards him and nobody followed the rest of the group nor obeyed any after him. So the people followed Abdur-Rahman and consulted him all those nights till there came the night we gave the oath of allegiance to Uthman. Al-Miswar bin Makrama added, "Abdur-Rahman called on me after a portion of the night had passed and knocked on my door till I got up, and he said to me, 'I see you have been sleeping. By Allah, during the last 3 nights I have not slept enough. Go and call Az Zubair and Sa'd.' So I called them for him and he consulted them and then called me saying, 'Call Ali for me.' I called Ali and he held a private talk with him till very late at night, and then Al got up to leave, having had much hope to be chosen as a caliph, but Abdur-Rahman was afraid of something concerning Ali. Abdur-Rahman then said to me, 'Call Uthman for me.' I called him and he kept on speaking to him privately till the muezzin put an end to their talk by announcing the adhan for the Fajr prayer. When the people finished their morning prayer and that 6 men group gathered near the pulpit, Abdur-Rahman sent for all the Muhajirin emigrants and the Ansar present there and sent for the army chief who had performed the Hajj with Umar that year. When all of them had gathered, Abdur-Rahman said, 'None has the right to be worshipped but Allah,' and added, 'Now then, O Ali, I have looked at the people's tendencies and noticed that they do not consider anybody equal to Uthman, so you should not incur blame by disagreeing.' Then Abdur-Rahman said to Uthman, 'I gave the oath of allegiance to you on condition that you will follow Allah's laws and the traditions of Allah's apostle and the traditions of the 2 caliphs after him.' So Abdur-Rahman gave the oath of allegiance to him, and so did the people, including the Muhajirin emigrants, and the Ansar and the chiefs of the army staff and all the Muslims. Volume 9, Book 89, number 315. Narrated by Salama. We gave the oath of allegiance to the Prophet under the tree. He said to me, 'O Salama, will you not give the oath of allegiance?' I replied, 'O Allah's Apostle, I have already given the oath of allegiance for the first time.' He said, 'Give it again, for the second time.' Volume 9, Book 89, number 316. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. A Bedouin gave the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Apostle for Islam, and the Bedouin got a fever, whereupon he said to the Prophet, 'Cancel my pledge.' But the Prophet refused. He came to him again, saying, 'Cancel my pledge.' But the Prophet refused. Then the Bedouin left Medina. Allah's Apostle said, 'Medina is like a pair of bellows, furnace. It expels its impurities and brightens and clears its good.' Volume 9, Book 89, number 317. Narrated by Abdullah bin Hisham, who was born during the lifetime of the Prophet, that his mother, Zainab bint Humayd, had taken him to Allah's Apostle and said, 'O Allah's Apostle, take his pledge of allegiance for Islam.' The Prophet said, 'He, Abdullah bin Hisham, is a little child,' and passed his hand over his head and invoked Allah for him. Abdullah bin Hisham used to slaughter 1 sheep as a sacrifice on behalf of all of his family. Volume 9, Book 89, number 318. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. A Bedouin gave the pledge of allegiance to Allah's apostle for Islam. Then the Bedouin got fever at Medina, came to Allah's apostle and said, "O Allah's apostle, cancel my pledge," but Allah's apostle refused. Then he came to him, again, and said, "O Allah's apostle, cancel my pledge." But the Prophet refused. Then he came to him, again, and said, "O Allah's apostle, cancel my pledge." But the Prophet refused. The Bedouin finally went out of Medina, whereupon Allah's apostle said, "Medina is like a pair of bellows, furnace. It expels its impurities and brightens and clears its good."